A law unto themselves is what we're talking about, and I want to begin by thinking about the idea of rules. Does anybody know what this is? Have you seen this? One of these? No? Does anybody know what this is? Barrel of monkeys. Yes. This is a game called the Barrel of Monkeys. Do you know this game? There it is. So look, we're going to show people. Sorry? Haven't played it before. Well, I'm going to teach you how to play it. All right, so a barrel of monkeys is exactly what it sounds like. It's a barrel with monkeys in it.
Lots of them.
Lots of them. And what you do, so it says shake the monkeys in the barrel. So give it a shake. All right. Then it says tip the monkeys from the barrel onto a flat surface, leaving them arranged as they fall. So we've got to take the top off. Can you get it? There you go. And then you tip them out onto the table. And oh, that's it. Now we don't touch them. We don't touch them. Then it says, pick up one monkey by the arm. Now you're only allowed to use one hand. So pick up one monkey by the arm. Okay. Good. Oh, now here's the next thing. What we've got to try and do is pick up as many monkeys as we can without touching the other monkeys. So you've got to use, you see how there's got the hooks on the arms? You've got to try and hook one of the other monkeys. Oh, no. See, this hand is not allowed to do anything. You see, this is what makes this game hard. You can only use one hand, and it can only hook the monkey, you see, with that one hand. So you give it a try. That's it. So it's quite hard, isn't it? So, yes. To see how hard that game is.
Yeah, you can drag it to the edge of the table. I don't see why not.
So then hook them. Oh, now look, you've got a bonus monkey, right? Now, you've got 3 monkeys. Now here's the next thing. You want to try and pick up some more monkeys, and you've got to try and hook them onto this hook, right? But hang on, when you drop monkeys, your turn is over, and then it's my turn. So let's see if you can hook some more monkeys without dropping any, and see how long a chain of monkeys you can get. It's hard, isn't it? Do you know what? Yes, try one of these ones where the arm is standing up. Oh, dropped a monkey. Your turn is over. So you managed to get a chain with 2 monkeys, you see, and you get points because of that. So we've got to do it again, my turn. Did you get the hang of that? You see what we've got to do? So, hang on, the game's not over yet. There we go. Okay, so we tip it out. There it is. And now my turn. So I'm going to pick up this monkey. That's easy. And then I'm going to see if I can hook some more. So I'm going to hook that one. All right, let's see what I can get, if I can get some more. It's a long time since I've played this game. Oh. I didn't do very well, did I? It's your turn. It's your turn. See if you can get more than, how many did you get? 3 monkeys. 3 monkeys. Let's see if you can get 4 this time. So shake the barrel. Give it a shake. Okay. And let's open it up. Tip it out. Okay, so you pick up 1 monkey. Okay, and let's see how many you can, only 1 hand. You can only use 1 hand. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you try and pick up a monkey. Yeah, see, that's a good idea. Okay, so we've got our first monkey, so 2 in it. So now we're looking for another monkey. So can you pick up another monkey? This one's hard, isn't it? Oh. All right, my turn. Would you say this game is easy to do or hard to do?
A bit hard.
A bit hard, isn't it? All right, so here's my turn now. I pick up this monkey. So, understanding that this game is hard, Vida, all right, so I can pick up my first monkey. Now, I didn't do very well with this one, did I, before?
Yeah.
So what would happen if I suddenly decided, well, I'm actually, because I was so bad at it last time, I'm going to do this.
That's cheating, isn't it?
Is it really? Oh, look! Look at me, 4 monkeys. I'm winning.
No, you're not.
Why aren't I winning? I got my 4 monkeys. What's wrong with that?
What's this?
Hey?
Do it with your hand.
I used my other hand. What was wrong with that?
You
It
tell
was
him
cheating?
Yeah, it was cheating.
Was it cheating?
It was cheating.
Goodness me. See, and look how easy it is. If I could do it again, couldn't I? Like I can pick up that monkey. And I can, look how well I can do it.
Just put your hand in.
But I'm using my second hand, you see. So this is interesting, isn't it? We have a game and we have rules which make it quite hard, but actually also make it quite fun. What happens if you have a friend who cheats at games you play? Imagine you're playing a game with a friend. It might be this or it might be anything. Does that make you feel happy if you have a friend who's cheating at a game? No. No, it doesn't. Games are not much fun when we cheat, are they? No, no. But there are other things that are more important about rules. And I want to show you one. You can go and sit down now. Thank you very much for your help. I want to show you another rule that's much, much more important. Tell me about this rule. What's this rule? Not to walk. Why not?
Because it's red.
Yes, and why is it red? Why can't I walk when it's red?
It's because other cars are driving.
It would be dangerous, wouldn't it? So, rules for a game are one thing, right? So we have rules of games, and the rules actually help us enjoy the game better. Help us to understand what to do. But some rules, like the red man at the crossing, are very, very, very important. Because some rules, if you break them, you are in danger. So, this is a trivial thing in a way. It's not very nice if people cheat at a game. But there are some rules, if you try to cheat at these rules, you're going to come off second best. It's really not a good idea. So, I just wanted to think about what rules are for. Why we have rules. They help us understand how to interact with one another. They help to keep us safe. They're all very important things to consider. So the rules of our world are important things for us all to learn. Now I want to talk now about unspoken rules. Okay? And I want to think about the rules of friendship. So we're going to think about what it is to be a good friend and what it is to be not a good friend. And I've got some statements down here at the bottom, and we're going to see if we can work out where they belong. So, this statement down here, shares their toys or belongings. Does this make someone a good friend or not a good friend if they share? What do you think, Vida? If someone shares with you, are they a good friend or not a good friend? A good friend? Should we see what the answer is? Let's have a look. Yes, I think so. A good friend. Well, here's the next one. Laughs at you when you make a mistake. A good friend or not a good friend? You got the answer? What do you think? It means they're not nice, not a good friend. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Not a good friend if they laugh at you when you make a mistake. Yes, I think that's right. Here's the next one. Says mean or hurtful things. Not a good friend. Would you agree, Vida? Not a good friend if they say mean or hurtful things. Yeah. Okay. Listens when you are talking. Is that a good? What do you think? Not a good friend? What do others think? Listens when you are talking. I think is a good friend. Let's see the answer. Let's see. Yes. When you're talking, you want someone to listen, don't you? You don't want me to go and do my own thing. You want someone to listen. All right, here's our next one. Interrupts when you are speaking. Neville, shaking your head. Not a good friend. Plays fairly and follows the rules. A good friend? Yep, looks like it. Now, we might be able to think of more things. But here's the interesting thing. Who teaches you this? Parents
Teachers.
might do. Teachers might do. Yep.
Life.
Life might do as well. Yes, interesting, isn't it? That when we experience a good friend or a not a good friend, we start to understand what makes a good friend or not a good friend. It helps us understand how we should behave. So there's something in the Bible, and some of you will know this. This is called the golden rule, yes. And it appears in lots of different places. Whatever you want men to do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. We learn about what it means to be a good friend by our interaction with other people. And we think about those people as good friends or not good friends based on the way they treat us, whether they're this list, one list or the other. But the really helpful thing about this is it helps us understand how we should behave. What do we do to make us a good friend? To make me a good friend, what should I do? Vida, what do you think? Someone who is kind? So we should be kind, shouldn't we, to be a good friend? What else can we think of?
There is no really rules there. Just have a kind heart and help when it's needed.
A kind heart and help when is needed. Yep. Can anybody think of anything else? Forgive? Yes.
Yeah, that's important.
Yes, that's another one. Being thoughtful. Yes. Yeah. Considering other people's opinions, their needs, their desires, that sort of thing.
Judge.
Check in.
Check in on people.
Oh, so be in touch with them and make sure that they're okay. That sort of idea.
And don't judge the situation.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Because we don't know.
Don't be too quick to judge someone, that's right, yes. We have rules so that we may become what they teach. And we have this, I read it from Deuteronomy chapter 6, the idea of having the word in one's heart, set before, as frontlets between the eyes. They're ever present in everything that we do, on the lintels of the doorposts as we enter in and out of our house. It's just embedded as part of our life. It becomes second nature. This is the point of the rules. This is the whole reason that we have them. And we have other passages in the Bible which reflect this idea, such as this from Psalm 119. Your word I have hidden in my heart that I might not sin against you. There's that idea of having the word, the rules embedded in our lives so they just become second nature. We no longer need to think about them. And when we have reached that state where we no longer have to think about the rules, we are actually free in a whole new sense. They are embodied in the way that we live. I always think about the figure of Mozart. The young Wolfgang seemed to just embody the rules of music so easily and fluidly that, as I say, at a very young age he began his musical career, and his father put him on the stage as a very young boy. And then he began composing and writing his own music. But then what happened was he embodied the rules of music so completely that he no longer needed to think about them, but he also learnt to break them in new ways and become more creative around the rules of music. And this is one of the things that made Mozart so great. Now there's another passage in the Word that I'd like to just focus on, and it's this one from Hosea 6. Because this makes an interesting distinction. For I desire mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. So to say, there's a distinction there in the rules. There's a natural level of rules, a natural level of doing. But there's a whole other level, a higher spiritual level we would call it, which is far more important. And the natural levels, the doing, embodies those higher, more important levels. That's the distinction that's being made here. Now, we see it in the Lord's words to the Pharisees in the Gospel of Matthew, where the Lord says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone. Blind guides who strain out a gnat and swallow a camel." Do you see the distinction that's being made there? There's a physical level of doing, which is prescribed in the law, and the Pharisees were very good at keeping that lower natural level of doing. But that higher level, those higher principles that were represented in the lower ones, they were forgetting. They were not so good at keeping. It was not so easy. So we have in the Old Testament law, laws and rules that are written as symbols. So from the teachings of the church, we have statements like this: New Jerusalem and its heavenly doctrine, paragraph 16. Not the least of these particulars was commanded, that's the laws in the Old Testament, that did not symbolize something having to do with the Lord, heaven, and the church. So all those ceremonial laws that the Jews engaged in, they all represented something deeper, and it is the deeper thing that was so important. We can think of things like aspects of the Lord's divine nature, that the Lord is love and that He is truth. Steps along the road to our spiritual journey, the road to heaven, are also embodied in these laws. And different states of the church and heaven that can exist within us. These are all embodied by these laws. Another passage from True Christian Religion. And Swedenborg writes this: "These rules were what Paul meant by the deeds prescribed by the law when he said that man is justified by faith without the deeds prescribed by the law," in Romans chapter 3. The same is shown by his words to Peter, whom he criticised for behaving like the Jews, when he says 3 times in one verse that no one is justified by the deeds prescribed by the law. So, the Apostle Paul is talking about these lower natural deeds, these ceremonial practices that were no longer necessary. What was important were the higher spiritual principles. They are the ones that we needed to focus on and we needed to maintain. They are the ones we need to keep. When we look at the law of the Old Testament, we can make a couple of distinctions. There are those laws that we need to keep. Can anybody think of a law in the Old Testament that we need to keep now?
Don't murder.
Do not murder. There's a very good one. All right? Do not commit adultery. So we've got a lot of those are embedded in the 10 Commandments. Love your neighbour. Yes, we can think of those now. So those are all in the Old Testament law. And we might ask, do we not need to keep these anymore? No, sorry, we do need to keep them. But what we need to remember is even those laws that we still need to keep embody some principle which is higher and which is spiritual. So, for example, the example that I wrote down was the murder one. The commandment, thou shalt not murder, embodies a spiritual principle which we still have to obey beyond the natural principle. And that principle is hatred. We should not hate others. And here's the effect of it. If we can keep the spiritual principle of not hating, we will never be subject to the natural principle of not murder. It will never be an issue. If we can cleanse our lives of our hatred, we will never have to face the possibility of committing murder. Do you see how that works? So there's the connection between those rules that we should still keep. There's a spiritual principle that we need to be aware of, first and foremost. We get rid of that, or get rid of that problem, that spiritual problem in our life, the natural one. It's no longer relevant to even think about. But then there's the other ones, the ceremonial laws, and I can think of the sacrifices, you know, the laws around the temple, around the priestly garments, and all those sorts of things. Those laws that we no longer need to keep, those laws also have some spiritual significance for us. They have something inner that we can learn as well.
The sacrifice don't have any spiritual laws.
The sacrifices?
Doesn't have any spiritual laws in them.
It does have a spiritual law in it. It does, yes. We no longer carry out sacrifices on the natural level. We no longer sacrifice animals as part of our worship. But they do point to an important spiritual principle that we still need to keep. Can anybody think of what that might be? Letting go of things, yes. The idea of the Holocaust, it's called, is a dedication to God. And this is what the animal sacrifice means. It's understanding that everything that we have that is good within our own lives is not of ourselves, it is the Lord's alone. And that's the inner meaning of the sacrifice that we still need to hang on to, Marika, even though we don't do the sacrifice itself, you see? So we've given up the sacrifices, we've given up the ceremonial laws, but we still have to remember the heart of that, the spiritual meaning, because that is so fundamental. The idea that we understand that no good is of and from ourselves is an important principle to hang on to. I'm now going to go to the saying that I based the whole of the service on, and it comes from the book of Romans. This is what Paul writes. For as many as have sinned without law will also perish without law. And as many as have sinned in the law will be judged by the law. For not the hearers of the law are just in the sight of God, but the doers of the law will be justified. This is all familiar concepts for us, isn't it? Let's continue. For when Gentiles, who do not have the law, by nature do the things in the law, these, although not having the law, are a law to themselves. There's that saying. Who show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and between themselves their thoughts accusing or else excusing them. It's describing this situation of having the law written in your heart. Even though you've not necessarily learnt the outward natural laws, you know, that long complicated list of laws the Jews had, they still have goodness embedded within them. They're still following the spiritual principles that the laws teach. I'm going to go a little bit further on to the end of the chapter because this is also well worth reading. For he is not a Jew who is one outwardly, nor is circumcision that which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Jew who is one inwardly. And circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, not in the letter, whose praise is not from men, but from God. Can you see the distinction the Apostle Paul is making there? It's so interesting that he's making this connection between the spiritual level of laws which we are to continue to apply and the natural level of laws that the Jews held as being so important. It's the spiritual that we seek to embody. So I'd encourage you, if you get opportunity during the week, have a look at those couple of chapters in Romans, chapters 2 and 3 that we've looked at a little bit this morning. And just reflect on this idea of the inner law and the outer law. What we carry out in the natural world and what it says about, the human heart and the way we are to be. And see what you can learn from it. Learn about your own application of laws and rules in this world.